I'm on a date tonight, so I'll have to just look good. No, I'll just do it in front of her. She don't need it.
Going! He's kept going! He's scored! Oh, Stockport pressure. And the header into the back of the net! That's Palmer! Played in again. And a superb goal! Chelsea did it! Lisa! Rose tries to get the ball in. Wilkinson! It's a 5-star performance from Stockport County.
All right, we got a small house, but we got a big bloody heart, I tell you.
Hello, friendos. Back. My voice is back, but unfortunately my will to live isn't after Saturday. But a day later, we are here to pick over all the county news and gossip. Yes, this is SK3 TV, your weekly helping of county and Stockport content, where we spend an hour, and it's going to be, but I need to be wrapped up by exactly 9 o'clock tonight, folks. Not really. Not got anything big on. Just
Makes you sound like you've got important plans. I was intrigued for a minute.
No, never have important plans, me. Never. Joining us tonight as ever. Were you here last week, Hannah? Yeah, you were here last week.
I was here from fricking Florida last week.
That's right. Yeah. You were more here than. Yeah. How are we?
I'm all, well. I'm not all right. I'm in a horrible mood.
We're all in horrible moods.
That's fine. We can have a less Pollyanna version of Hannah tonight.
Oh,
no,
I thought
either.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a less polyamorous version of Hannah. I was like, things you're not telling us here. Nice. No, all this. Oh, Happy New Year, Hannah.
Happy New Year, Nick.
This is the first time we've done. And Happy New Year to the viewers and the listeners
No,
and the
I
readers.
saw you on Saturday.
Yeah, no, but from a podcasting point of view.
Oh, right, from a podcast.
Keep up the illusion that you like me, Hannah.
You came and sat next to me when I was super sad on Saturday, and I really appreciated it. So
I know, and then you left the seat even more sad. Oh God, Nick still. Oh God.
I'm fine until someone's nice to me. Like Will nearly set me off before while you were off sorting your things. Like all it takes is someone to be nice to me, and I'm like.
Yeah, same.
So don't take compliments. Me. Like, you're right. Yeah, I'm fine.
I'll never ignore you, Hannah. The day I ignore you is the day it's a sad day in SK3 TV Towers.
Shit.
Talking of a sad day in SK3 TV Towers. Don't know where I'm going with that. It's Will. Hello, Will.
Hello.
I knew when I started speaking.
This is the third episode in a row that I've been on where you've immediately gone in there, I feel like there's something you're not telling me, Nick.
I think what it is, with my other podcasts, I'm the straight man. I'm the one who's the butt of these jokes. So it's like, when people who are bullied turn out to be bullied. Yeah. To be bullies. That's what I'm doing. I'm sorry, I love you, Will.
Yeah, I know. I'm good. I feel like I've had my winter break. I'm back in it.
Back in it? Winter break on the Continentals?
Yeah.
Are you still in Pantoland? Is it still...
No, so the Get Out officially finishes tomorrow, but we'd basically finished yesterday. I've had a
You've had the runs finished, because I can't think of anything worse in like the frame of mind I'm in at the moment than like sustained panto frivolity. It would,
Well, the thing that's really baffling me is I actually already miss it, and I have never liked panto. Syndrome. Maybe. I think it's just, been nice having a building full of the same faces every day. The cast are all brilliant. I love the crew at my workplace. And it was just nice to have the same people and, some of the jokes I was hearing the same every day, but...
Oh, just like being with me then.
Well, I didn't want to be the one to say it. But equally, there were ways that things were sort of played with throughout the run, and as people got more confident and comfortable with their dialogue. But yeah, I'm actually weirdly going to miss it. Yeah.
Well,
So
I
I've got
for
the
one
Panto
think
blues.
I for one think Panto's shit. Come on, say it.
So do
say
I.
it. No,
No, I
you meant
do.
to say, oh no, it isn't.
No, I'm not doing that because I think Panto's shit, but I really enjoyed working on a Panto, and I never thought that would be the case. So it's been a bit of a confusing 6 weeks for me.
My dad was it links in with Panto. It's not just a weird story about my dad being mental. On Christmas Day, my dad spent a good half hour whinging about there being a drag act as on the panel of the Christmas special of Blankety Blank. This is Blankety Blank that used to be hosted by Lily Savage, and the drag person in question is now dead. So nice one, Dad. Well done.
Oh.
Thanks, Dad.
Like, but Panto is a great British tradition. Drag is
but so is racism and critical stealing stuff.
I was trying to defend drag acts here, but
oh right, I thought we were back on Panto.
Make it. Well, we are.
I don't know anymore.
Let's move on.
It's been a long week and it's only been Tuesday. Right, let's get into the 24 Hours Late show after this. Admin. Do we have any admin? Do people care?
Blackbird's back, baby.
That is our admin. Yes, Andy, our generous sponsor at Blackbird Brewhouse and Kitchen will be he'll be to go back to last week's conversation, he'll be the celebrated pansman at Gorilla in Manchester.
Yeah.
A top venue, my go-to venue when I go to a gig at the Ritz, that is. So
yeah, and from the 16th, they open on the 16th of January for food. You book online through the Gorilla. You have to book through the Gorilla website, and you'll get 50% off on all your food until the 16th of February. So we're totes going. I told you, was it last week or the week before, that I've been thinking about roast dinners since Andy started posting pictures of them, which is a while ago now. So a 50% off mega roast dinner seems like something that I'm down for.
Yeah, podcast date.
Yeah, I'll drive into the big smoke.
The big smoke.
Yeah.
And I can just sit there in the back of the car, just slagging off Manchester and stuff. Just going, oh, this is Manchester. We do things differently here, but we don't know, do we? And then I get thrown out of the car halfway there.
Oh wait, sounds great.
In terms of podcast admin, Hannah, what should people do if they're watching on the stream or listening?
People should like and subscribe. If they're watching it on YouTube, they should definitely like and subscribe. If you're watching it on X, formerly known as Twitter, then please also go to YouTube and like and subscribe because it helps. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other platform, including Amazon Podcasts, whatever they're called now, then leave us a 5-star review. You can write whatever you want in the comments. It doesn't matter. It's just about the 5-star review. So you can say, like, we can tell you that 5 is the minimum. If you want to go with that, that's fine.
But if they do want to write something, if they write something that features the name of an obscure county player, and we'll read the best ones out.
Yeah. Dad, if you're listening, I don't think you've done it for this podcast yet. So if you could chime in, that would be great.
Yeah.
His name on the, I'm not going to tell you what it is because when it comes in, you'll be like, oh, it's a fake one. We played the very, very first Fantasy League competition in the Telegraph, like however many years. Yeah. Very, very first one. And his review name is the name of his Fantasy League team from that year. So that's how I clocked it, because they didn't even tell me he'd done it. I didn't ask him to do it. But I've not seen one.
So is it like a pun name that's a reference to a player?
No,
this year I'm Charlie XGX is what I am this year, which is hilarious.
No, it's I think it was like a cricket team in New Mills or something like that. It's very, very obscure.
Oh yeah.
But if anyone else wants to do it as well, that would be nice. Thanks.
Well, we've put it off long enough.
There must be other stuff we can talk about.
Well, actually no, because one of the games, if we'd won on Saturday against Mansfield, then we'd be talking about 2 fantastic all-timer performances and results.
I forgot about Birmingham. In fairness.
Yeah, well, I was me and you, Hannah, were both relying on the stream, were we not?
Yes,
And
I was.
Will,
Where was
you were
I?
there.
I was in
I was
Jacksonville.
there.
Yeah.
One of us was there. That's something. That's good. It feels like we do this so often, but when we play a team that on paper should be beating us, we seem to spend the first half paying them far too much respect, rather than just playing the system that has worked for us for three years or so. And it just felt the same again, Birmingham.
I wonder as well, though, and we talked about this last week, I think, about how losing Louis kind of maybe a week or so earlier than other teams might have been prepared for might have helped, because we had to play, like, we've got injuries, we kind of had to play in a different way that we would do, that we had done when we played them last, and that we had done kind of in the run-up as well. So, you know, maybe it's as simple as it was... it makes losing against Mansfield worse, but maybe it was just that, you know, we took them by surprise, and it took us just a little while to work out that we were getting away with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that second half against Birmingham, if we have the formerly of this parish, Louis Barry, we win. But in fact, I think even without him, if that game's 5 minutes longer, we win that. Just a superb second half performance.
That belter from Macca, I was sat screaming. This is right. So I'd gone from the hotel. We checked out the hotel. I'd gone to Dunkin' Donuts to get Kylie Kelsey's Dunkin' Donuts drink. And I was sitting in the car park in Dunkin' Donuts watching and screaming to the extent that I kind of attracted unwanted attention. But yeah, it was a proper... I think it's the first time that I've been properly engaged in stream watching, because it was just so good.
I mean, that was your classic. I mean, people always use the phrase "all action performance" and don't really mean it. But from Macca, that he was possibly his best game for us. I thought he was absolutely. I know he's not got that. Like back in the National League, he used to have that comedy pace where he was hilariously fast, like a cartoon or something. And I don't know if it's the injuries that make it seem like he's slowed down, or because he's playing 2 levels higher.
I think
maybe he's just. I think he's just as quick as he was.
I think it's
but
the level we're at now.
Yeah.
Because how many players do you see in the National League with that blistering, embarrassing pace? A handful at most.
Goes.
I think the reason it stood out so much in the National League was because defenders were. There's that saying of the first yard being in your head. And defenders in the National League weren't alive to that movement, whereas there will be players at this level who aren't as quick as him, but are sort of aware of that danger and that risk, and know how to sort of compose themselves off the ball to kind of counteract that a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he's still got that pace, and I mean it was comedy, but I think it's not quite as sort of standout now as it was 2 divisions lower.
No.
I mean, for all the talk of his pace, he's not a player I expect to be leaping that high in
like a salmon. Like a salmon.
Macauley Salmon-Hales. Yeah.
Macauley Salmon. How long have you been sat on that one?
No.
It just came to me then.
I really no. Penno did a.
Oh, of course he did.
On Twitter over the weekend. That was just to make sure credit where credit's due.
Oh, well done, Penno. Well done.
Yeah, it was the salmon. I can't remember if it was the salmon body and a Macca head or the other way around. I think
mermaid Salmon-Hales.
It's slightly disturbing, if I'm honest, but creative genius.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing for him to score an equaliser in that fashion, but then, as you said, that shot off the post. I mean, an inch or so to the right, and it bounces in. It's just one of them moments.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Birmingham on the ropes. This is a team, the most expensively assembled team I think League One's ever seen. You know, they've spent about 852 million quid estimated, and they were fully on the ropes in that second half, and that's got to give us cause for optimism.
And as much as their fan base irritates me, they were at least relatively. Well, no, I always think it's funny when you lose and you say, "Oh, we were terrible," not "you were good." But I think
it is
they were definitely under par, and put like it's just comical, isn't it? Pulling Jay Stansfield off, like we broke him.
Yeah,
finally, that's twice he's been anonymous against us.
There's I think the majority of Birmingham fans that I've sort of read thoughts from do sort of accept that we battered them. It wasn't a case just of them being off their game. They were off their game because we battered them. There is that element of their manager likes to play it safe. They take the 1-0 lead. They're like, we're not going to concede against these League One cloggers and sit back. And I think we did batter them. And that shot from Maka, it would have been one of the all-time great wins, I think, if we pulled that off.
Now, I've got a question for you both. With that in mind, was there, and is there anything wrong with celebrating that result?
I didn't think there was an over-celebration of it at all, in the ground anyway. There was a celebration. There was, obviously, the players got clapped off the pitch. There was the usual sort of... Well, I mean, it felt... Okay, I'm in the pop side, and we always sing "We Love You."
Are you? No.
No, I know, shocking, right? News of the world. We always sing "We Love You, Stockport." We do at the end of the game, regardless of result. I think we even did. I wasn't in there at the end of Leyton Orient. I'd scarpered in time. Well, I was down by the exit gate for the final whistle, but I think we did after the Wickham aberration. It didn't feel any different from our perspective at the end of the game. Maybe the Cheadle end was sort of more kind of clapping than usual. I think the main thing, though, is that more people stuck around until the end.
That's it. Yeah.
There wasn't that mass exodus you quite often get if we're sort of 3-0 up, or even 1-0 up sometimes.
Yeah.
It wasn't like... I think what I consider over-celebrating a draw or getting a result somewhere is when you get all that fist pumping and all that kind of... There was none of that. There was, we've done well to find out a result here.
As I walked out on Saturday, I could hear the fist pumping. I was like...
So,
there was none of that from us. It was the end of the game felt like a usual end of the game at Edgeley Park where we've had a good result.
That does bring us on nicely, I suppose, to Mansfield, because Dave Philbin, friend of the show, has mentioned in the comments about people were actually complaining about the way Mansfield was celebrating.
Mansfield always over-celebrate at ours, though. I remember that. Was it a 1-1 draw a couple of seasons ago when there was nearly a pitch invasion?
Oh, yeah, they were going, yeah.
Like I think it was the last minute equaliser, and Nigel Clough going on about how it was the best they've played all season, and I've got Harry bloody messaging me, still not replied, saying like, we've got something special in this team. I'm like, no, you shithoused a win because you put everyone behind the ball after you were winning, and it degenerated into hoofball, and you controlled us. Well done, but we weren't that great either. So
I think that's another symptom of what I was saying last week to you and Ben, Hannah, about how this has the feeling of the season before we get promoted, where we struggle to break down these teams that play in a low block. I can't believe I've just used the phrase low block. Kill me now. Teams that defend deep, we struggle to get past them, and then the following season, our recruitment sort of aims to get players who can do that. And that's what tends to happen. And it was no more evident than Saturday, because we just, and like you said, the hoofball, it just, and now Kyle Wotton has become the boo boy amongst people with nothing in their heads.
I wouldn't say become. I think he's always been a victim.
I think he always has, because there's a large. I don't think it's just a county thing. I've said this for years. It's not just a county thing, but a lot of football fans just don't understand a target man. But we had it. We had it with Coyote Odejayi. We had it with Tom Elliott.
Josh
Amos as well, and Frank Mulhern to an extent as well.
Even though he wasn't a target man.
Even though he wasn't a target man, because he was a lone striker, people were like, I don't like. He's not scored for 2 games. Oh God! But with what we saw at the start of the season with Wotton, and I'll bang this drum until the end of the time. But at the start of the season, when we were playing the ball into Kyle Wotton's feet and he was holding it up and playing someone else in, he looked fantastic. Of course, and I know he's 6 foot. I know he's 6'4" or whatever, but so are the defenders he's playing against.
And
they're also saying that
Aidan Flynn was like, just. I don't think I've ever realised the physicality of him before. I think maybe was it last season he didn't play against us. Akins, I can't remember, but he was the beast, and he was kind of using Woods to propel himself.
With a name like Flint, you're gonna be like,
you're hard man.
If you're writing a fictional story and you've given one of your characters the surname Flint, he's gonna be a hard man.
Yeah, like, but with a dodgy ponytail.
But as soon as he came on, Flint,
I wasn't at the game. I don't know.
I started slowly inching across to the exit as soon as Flint came on, because it's like, that's the point. It's like, well, we're hoofing the ball up and we're not going to win anything against him, so this is all. The fella next to me, nothing is good enough for him. Nothing is good enough for the man I was sat next to, because when the ball got played back to Ben and he put his foot on it and looked around to see who to pass to, he's like, just get it up there. He gets it up there and we don't win it, and it comes back. He's moaning.
Forward!
Just concentrate. I don't know what people want. And then he said, when the goal, I think it was when the first goal went in, this bloke just threw his arms up and went, every bloody week. It's like, no, but it's not every bloody week.
It's not.
It's barely any weeks. Every bloody week can only be applied to a team that's like sleepwalking their way to relegation. That's the only time you can say, every bloody week, when you can see it. You've seen it with us before, when we're just conceding the same types of goals every week and we get relegated as a result. But this bloke, I was just and then the worst thing, and I had to speak at this point. I had to speak up. I bit my tongue, and they said, fucking hell, Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
And
which part of that was the trigger? Because
Hinchcliffe, it's a cliff.
Right.
Yeah, he'd slagged everyone off by this point, so I was expecting Ben to get it, despite a fantastic penalty save.
Right.
And it was a fantastic
penalty save.
That was a good penalty.
So when that penalty was saved, I was flying a piece of scenery. I was flying it while my stream was showing it, so it was actually probably like a good 30 seconds before. But I had to wait for a replay to see how good a save it was. I figured out it was a save because they got a corner from it, so I figured he hadn't just missed the target. But yeah, cracking save. It wasn't even. I do need to see it again, but I didn't get that sense of nice height for a goalkeeper. Like, it looked like he had to really kind of sprint for it.
It was a proper stretch, full out. Yeah.
The sort of save you'll see on like a greetings card.
Yes, a cartoon. Very much so.
That's that sort of thing. Another thing that friend of the show Dave Philbin has pointed out in the comments, something that's been a bugbear of mine in the last couple of years playing Mansfield, is that Bowery, the number 9, we have seen him at right back, left back, and centre back. And I know this isn't an issue for you, Hannah, because you're normal. You don't have problems.
There's kind of an explanation. So
he's a centre forward, isn't he? Yeah,
he is, yes. And when we've played them before, they've had kind of injury crises. And the only thing they've been able to do is pull him, and there's another one back. So we've been seeing them playing defensively, but then they're not really.
Well, what does that say about us then? That every time we play them, they've got an injury crisis, and they still fucking.
Because Mansfield always have an injury crisis. They got lucky this week.
No, it's because I had predicted we'd lose this game before the game.
Yes, no.
not just because it's Mansfield, but because we never seem to do well when I'm stuck at work. But it's Mansfield. They beat us. We move on. Did we get a point at Field Mill this year, or did we lose there?
Yeah.
As well? So we got a point more than we got last season.
And
so
you can't remember it because everyone complained about Corey Dye.
That's
I
right.
don't remember that.
That was when that kicked off. Yeah.
I
So
genuinely
we had your mate on here, didn't we?
Harry, he's not coming on again ever. We're not talking anymore.
You're not friends anymore.
Yeah, the family group chat that Liam and Harry and I have has been very quiet this week.
Oh God.
I'm sorry.
But that kind of expectation, I think, is why there was potentially some kind of exuberant scenes post Birmingham, because I expected that to be a lot worse in terms of potential defeat levels.
Yeah.
So I think some of that was kind of relief and relief rather than over celebration.
Because I think now we're past the halfway point of the season now, and despite some of the doom and gloom, we say not just after every defeat, but after mainly the Christmas period, which when you look at it, if you start from Huddersfield on Boxing Day, freak own goal, and then they offered nothing other than that. We didn't offer much. We had was that was the game where we had where Collar had the chance, I think, Huddersfield. So put that away. Rotherham played very well. Connolly hits the post late on as well. So fine margins. Salmon-Hales hits the post against Birmingham. Again, fine margins. It's only really Mansfield that you can look at and say, right, we've offered absolutely nothing there.
Yeah, but even then, there were a couple of shots in the second half, and on any other day, someone is fractionally they're quicker than they were, or they just catch it the right way, it would have gone in.
Even when things aren't going our way, we're controlling games, which is sort of what the recruitment was geared towards in the summer. So for this talk of, I know the recruitment has kind of come in for a bit of criticism this week, and I'd say it's too hard to tell at this point anyway. Given that up until last summer, I would have been quite happy to see Callum Camps leave. Yeah. And now he's a contender for player of the season.
Yeah.
He's one contender for player of the season. We know Lewis Bates going to win player of the season, let's be honest. But Ethan Pye, once again, there was times on Saturday where he was the only one trying to make something happen, like bringing the ball out of defence.
And he was fantastic. He was my man of the match against Birmingham.
Yeah, he's superb.
If Macca's shot had gone in and we'd won 2-1 through 2 Macca goals, I might have had to have given it to him. But
yeah, he might have to there. Yeah.
For me, it was Ethan Pye. He dominated there. I don't think he stays past the summer. I think we lose him in the summer.
Well,
we'll get good money for him, but I think we keep him through January. But I don't think he's with us next season.
He was the only one on Saturday so I got, as you've heard, incredibly irritated with the whole, stop playing it around at the back, pass it forward, all of this. And I think what people fail to appreciate is it's less about kind of playing it around the back and playing it from the back. And the problem is that we couldn't play it from the back, with the exception of Ethan Pye. So Ethan Pye was kind of taking it and running with it. Everyone else, it was just kind of hoofing it forward. It hits their defence, and then they catch us on the counter. And there was some terrifying runs from them as well, kind of coming back the other way. I don't know what else they could have done with the way that Mansfield were playing.
Yeah, that's it. It's something that's going to take time. But my most hated thing about football is here anyway, the transfer window. So
I love the transfer window.
I despise it.
Oh my God.
So
as
go on. No, you go.
No, I was going to say that my favourite thing now that I kind of so that Transfer Centre 9 account on Twitter, that's been over the last few years. Someone I can't remember whether it was lower league local. Someone actually went through all of their predictions. They've not got one right, and it turns out it's I think it's a Bristol fan that has a sensible account, and it is a parody account. And he's kind of he's
admitted it and stuff. And said, "Look, I've just been doing this for a laugh."
Stuff gets repeated as gospel. It's very so. There's and a good example at the moment is we did. So we've brought back the League Two, and if anyone's getting nostalgic for League Two, Lower League looks back. So on a Sunday night, so we went through League Two, and one of the questions was, what do you want to see? Who do you want to see sign for your team? This was like fantasy football. By Tuesday, it's being reported as like, I can't even remember who it was. Danilo Orsi going from Crawley to Bradford. It's being reported as fact that this is happening. It was like we were literally picking, names out of thin air. Like, oh, that'd be nice. Like, oh yeah, maybe. There had to be some kind of. It had to be factual in some way.
But it's very much like these SEO led articles. There was like loads over Christmas. It's like, oh, Gavin and Stacey fans are disgusted at Christmas special, and then all it is one tweet from someone saying, "Well, I'm disgusted that they didn't tell you what happened in the fishing trip."
Yeah.
Well, A, you don't understand comedy if you want to know what happened, and B, stop making these articles for clicks. It winds me right up.
So now that I kind of enjoy the transfer window shenanigans, but I do get frustrated by it as well. And you hear so much, and the other thing to remember is that things change. So something can be nailed on, like a player can have told you like 1-to-1 that they've been told that a particular player who may or may not be at Stockport County at the moment is going to them, and that that's what's happening. And then oh, but actually no. Yeah. And then it gets picked up. So absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. But that brings us on nicely to the confirmation today from Sunburn, but not the club.
I wouldn't take that necessarily not to.
And Melon are all off.
Yeah. But you would, I think no one will be that surprised.
No, you can see that coming from October, November time, really.
I'm a little surprised that Onyango's gone back. Because he can't go anywhere else because he's injured. Who's going to take an injured player in January? So I can only assume that we've sort of told them that we're kind of going to look elsewhere. He's not going to get any minutes with us when he's back fit.
I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up somewhere like Burton on loan, given that they're having a big mid-season overhaul.
But who's gonna? Why would they sign an injured player who's
if he's due back
until late February? At the earliest, late February, early March. It's waste of time and money. And I know he won't take up a squad spot, but it just seems I don't see him going anywhere. I think he's going to end up in an under-21s for the rest of the season.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah. Just going back to the thing about the transfer window, the thing that it does at least do, and you should appreciate this, Nick, is it keeps a lot of the kind of transfer madness contained.
Yeah.
It keeps everything contained to January. There's always a little bit, it's like Christmas. There's a little bit of bleed earlier and earlier and earlier, but it's not. It used to be that there'd be these kinds of rumours throughout the whole season. Now, it wasn't so bad pre-social media when it was just a couple of people on Yellowboard or something saying, "Oh, Ravanelli's coming." But now it is Twitter constantly just churning out. And if there wasn't a transfer window, it would be insufferable. And I would be hearing about firepower every day. And my initial thoughts are that at least a transfer window does kind of contain it a little bit into the middle,
and it's only a month.
Middle of the year.
The summer window is kind of more extended and things start to happen as soon as the season ends in terms of releases. My favourite myth busting from this transfer window so far is, and I don't think I've heard it so much at County, but from other clubs, there is no such thing as a recall deadline. So it might have been put in at the request of one side or the other as part of the loan contract, but the parent club can recall that player at any point in the window. So I know that and again, I say this, I don't think it's a County issue at all. But some clubs have been like, right, well, it's the 7th of January. That's the recall deadline day. And then someone else would be like, no, it's the 13th. It doesn't exist.
I think that is one of those really kind of typical ththings where somebody gets a little bit of information and then misinterprets it and then repeats their misinterpretation, and that gets taken as gospel.
Like the 12 seconds for a goalkeeper to play the ball without time wasting or whatever it is. So, like people count because they think that you've only got a certain amount of time but there is no kind of 12 seconds. It's a reasonable amount of time or something like that.
Oh, is that what it is now? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, I think it was Simon Wilson's talked about having those clauses in our contracts with loaning clubs, so that we can plan accordingly. And
it makes sense.
That's a contract that's been agreed. In the same way that with our loan fees, there are agreements where we won't pay a certain amount if a player is injured. We won't pay a certain amount if they don't complete the season with us. That then gets misinterpreted by people who won't have heard the things being said. They'll have read a précis on Twitter where you've only got 80 characters, 120 characters. But they'll have read a précis on Twitter and taken that Chinese whisper and turned it into, we'll get paid a fee if they get recalled early.
Yeah.
It's just, no. We're just not paying the full loan fee because we'll have agreed a percentage of wages and then an amount per month, depending on whether or not they're playing or not. And it is that simple. And if you're in the room when these words get said, you can follow that. It's really obvious. It's really simple. But if all you're getting is Nick's gone, if all you're getting is a little snippet of a tweet, you're not getting the whole. And I've had to call people up on things as they were happening. When I was at the fans forum last summer, I can't remember what it was referring to, but Simon Wilson said something. Sam tweeted about it, but didn't give all of the information. It was Sam's tweet then made it onto Yellowboard with, oh, this means that it's X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, that is the exact opposite of what Simon Wilson said in the room.
Right.
You weren't in the room. Stop paraphrasing what Sam Byrne is tweeting as if you're in the room. Because this person wasn't saying, oh, Sam Byrne says this. They were just saying their interpretation of Sam Byrne's tweet as if they were hearing it from Simon Wilson's mouth. And I just think, stop it. Because this is how wars start. This is how the world ends. We played Chinese whispers as kids. Some people didn't get the lesson.
And that is what happens in the transfer window. Things get taken out of context. So, going back to this conversation on Sunday night, someone had obviously listened to the bit where, with no context whatsoever, oh, Orsi to Bradford, that'd be great, or whatever was said. And then suddenly it becomes gospel. It's ridiculous. That said, have you heard any rumours about anyone incoming versus the outgoing ones?
Apart
from Flamini.
I have heard. I don't know if I could repeat anything that I've heard.
If it's in the public domain.
I don't think they're in the public domain.
Fine.
Yeah, I'm now, because I'm not, this is going to come across as being really in the know, and I'm not. But I do hear rumours. I hear more rumours now than I did 12 months ago when I didn't live in Stockport. I did enjoy hearing a rumour that I knew wasn't true repeated back to me at work. That was fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know the one I'm referring to.
Yeah.
That was great because I was like, oh, I know how that started.
That's exactly the point. Like, just something, with a little bit, like, we said this last week. It just needs a little bit of, if people are nefarious about it, and some people are, like, make no mistake, you will, and not just the commercial accounts as well. And if you're looking at transfer rumors on Twitter, do your due diligence. Look at when the account was set up, how many followers they've got, You know, do they have loads of numbers in? Are they like EFL transfers 572? Probably not a reliable source.
Even just looking at kind of how many players does this person tweet about? Because you've seen one tweet that's hit your feed. If you go to their page, that might be the 100th tweet they sent in half an hour.
Yeah.
And they're just throwing so many darts at a board that they might hit with one or two. They probably won't, but they might.
No.
Because I've seen ones that get followed by pretty reputable journalists.
Yeah.
And they are just full of garbage.
Yeah. Richard Nixon has been tweeting about Mellon to Bradford like it's a done deal. Not Richard Nixon.
Not Richard Nixon. What is his name?
So yeah, that like even reputable journalists get kind of caught up into it, and then it gains traction. Alan Nixon. Thanks, Ian.
Yeah.
Richard
and
Nixon.
Also, is that the rumor that you were trying to? Is that the rumor you were trying to coax out? Because I'd actually forgotten about that one.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I'd completely forgotten about that.
I like this one.
I like it too.
Do you know what? This is, and so for anyone who is listening without the video, Macauley Langstaff has been mentioned today. Do you know what? I don't even care whether it's true or not. I just like the idea of it. It gives me like a little bit. I was like, oh yeah.
My initial thoughts were he has more to his game than just goals, because people talk about, we need a poacher, and I just think we might lose something from the rest of the team if we just sign a poacher. Langstaff does have more to his game than that. He's not getting the opportunity to do well at Millwall. He is playing a lot, but I don't know how many of those are starts and how many of those are sort of.
I'll have a look, because I think we saw that he'd had 23 appearances,
which is
one goal
every game they've played.
Yeah, but let me see what his it would be XG, wouldn't it? By minutes.
Well, I was just, if I go on Flash Score while you're doing that, this is going to make for great listening.
Right, so he's played 1,161 minutes in the Championship.
So that's what, 11 games?
So it's 0.08 goals per 90.
Not great.
So it's not great, but it's, mid, as the kids say. Like Charlotte, like at the moment, like
the kids saying that because I do mid. Am I down with the kids?
Yeah, you're down with the kids. And then also there's Bet and Real. So I'll be bringing all of those out during the transfer window.
I also know Bet. Do you know No Cap? Do they talk about things being?
I don't know what that means, but I have heard it.
Cap means if something is cap, it's a lie, and if it's no cap, it's true.
Oh right.
Yeah.
You see, Sophie and Charlotte use Real for that.
That's not.
Right.
Well,
so
keeping it real has been around for very.
He's averaging 48 minutes per appearance, so a half, essentially.
Right. I just had a quick browse through Flash Score, and it looked like he was starting about half of them in his.
He's started 13, been subbed in 10, and subbed out in 4. Right. But if as a loan option, we talked about this with Louis Barry. There are players who are catapulted up a couple of leagues, and it's maybe a little bit premature, or they don't kind of fit with the team, they don't work as a direct transplant, and giving them an opportunity to find their confidence again could work wonders for him. For if Millwall are thinking about kind of offloading for they're outside the PCMP, aren't they? But obviously FFP is always a consideration. you can't carry players in the same way that you could, and they will have paid a decent amount for him. So it might make sense. They could, if he does well with whoever he goes to, then it gets his value up for a potential permanent move in the summer.
Yeah. Or even could potentially be that thing that kind of springboards him, because he's done it for them.
Yeah.
He's done it for Notts in non-league. He's done it at League 2 level. Could be that the step up to the Championship is too much in one go. It could just be that he doesn't fit in with Millwall's way of playing. But it could be a case of he comes to someone in League 1, be that us, be that somebody else, kicks on, gets some of his swagger back, and then next season could potentially be good enough for the Championship.
Yeah.
He might not have that. I remember Luke Beckett coming to us in Division 1 and scored a couple of goals, but wasn't that sort of... He didn't immediately show what he was going to become when we dropped down into Division 2, League 1, scoring constantly until getting injured. So yeah, I think it's an interesting rumour. It's got some sort of plausibility to it, which is nice compared to most of the transfer rumours that go around. But I expect us to pick somebody up that nobody's that's not hit anybody's radar.
And
the one that excited me, I won't say the name because I don't know how public it is, was the Julius Caesar. The Julius Caesar references in the WhatsApp.
Oh yes,
he sounds like a very promising. Could be more what we need than somebody like Langstaff.
Yeah.
But I don't know where that rumor came from, or if it's something that can be repeated. So I'm not.
Also, by all accounts, well, it doesn't help because then tomorrow it'd be repeated as gospel anyway. Yeah. But by all accounts, again, is someone that is on loan somewhere else at the moment.
Yep.
Arguably should be doing better than they have, but they've had injuries and are, by all accounts, a confidence player. So again, you get that. I mean, people have been criticizing the summer window. I remember, all of the kind of commentary and punditry around our transfer business from people outside of the club, and that's despite, any opinions from the fan base. And the recruitment that we did, we went early. We got all of our top targets.
Yep.
And that's why we were done early, because we got everyone we wanted. And no one was, huffing and puffing about Lewis Fiorini or, anyone else at that point. So, sometimes players just don't work out. Like as you said, with coming up and down divisions as well. Sometimes they just don't. They can be brilliant, but just don't click.
Yeah. From our summer signings, the only player that I would like to see go out on loan for his own good is Lewis Fiorini. He is struggling, and it's similar to what I think sort of kind of happened with Adai as well, in that there are groans, I think, when his name gets read out, and there's that kind of he's almost got to be perfect, and then 2 sub appearances in a row he air kicks a volley.
Yeah. But again, like one instance, like on Saturday,
I know.
He was all right. Sam Hughes is a bit like that for me as well. Like I see Sam Hughes, I'm like, but did nothing wrong particularly.
I didn't really see the Mansfield game. I saw snippets of it. But against Birmingham, he played 2 really nice. This is Fiorini again. He played 2 really nice crossfield passes out wide to Maka. And then other than that, I think he gave it away every time he had the ball. He air kicked it. And he looks like a player who has no confidence in himself whatsoever. And it just, I think for him, I'm not writing him off at all.
No.
I just don't think he is what we need this season right now. and I think it would be better for his development if he went somewhere where he's going to play every week and build that confidence up. And I do refer to Sam Walker quite a lot in these instances because it's the most glaring one, but this was a player who sort of came with a bit of kind of, what's the word? Not reputation, but that kind of thing.
Expectation,
thank you. And really didn't click.
Mm-hmm.
Got subbed on and subbed off in the same game, which is never a good sign. Went out on loan, and then the following season, he's critical to everything that we do that season. We win a league title, and he goes, you know, he's a massive part of the first league title win of 3 so far, and of getting us back onto the road that we're on now.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd have said that to somebody 12 months before, they'd have laughed at you.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm not saying it's going to happen with Fiorini. There is every chance that he never clicks, it never works out, he moves on somewhere else, and then potentially does well somewhere else.
Yeah.
But he's on a long contract. He's a youngish player. I'd like to see him go somewhere so he can play every week, because I think that's what he needs.
There was that story in the news about, well, no, it wasn't in the news, on social media, about the woman who had gone to, was it Southampton, and she predicted the scoreline. I
did see this.
Not a complete tangent.
No, okay.
It kind of, I'm going there with it. So this woman had gone to Southampton. She knows nothing about football. She'd gone with her son, and her son had previously worked for Brentford, amongst other teams, as in a kind of non-playing role. And she'd accurately predicted that it would be 5-0, and they made Armstrong present the shirt to her. Like, it was, so that's why it was on the media. But I went kind of through her. So her son specializes in player care and kind of mental health, and has worked at all these different clubs. And he's got on his Twitter, and I've bookmarked it, I'll share it later if I remember, a list of, in non-football world, the most stressful things that can happen to you as a person. And it's like relocation, changing jobs, injuries, being, you know, the main money earner, breadwinner, whatever you want to call it, being in a high risk role, being public kind of perception of you and reputation. And you're reading it through, and you like thinking about someone like Jack Diamond, who actually I thought showed absolute sparks of brilliance on Saturday. And you think about what he's been through over the last few years, and then kind of layer on top of that all of those kind of stresses. I think, you know, we talk about the resilience of players physically. I think mental resilience, like at a time like this in a transfer window, when the uncertainty is ramped up, you know, you've got a young family, you know, people that, you know, we're in contact with from lower league look that moved in the summer. They're kind of still not in a position where they've got kind of properly functioning internet, and they're living out of hotels. And this is, you know, halfway through the season. Like, what does that do to you? So I think like there is a whole kind of psychological side. And when we had Liam Richardson on a few weeks ago, that was one of the things that I asked him about, in terms of what psychological support we have for the players. Because I think that more and more it's always something that they've had to deal with, obviously. But it's something that kind of we're being more aware of. And I'm not suggesting that, you know, every footballer has to be mollycoddled, and, you know, you can't say anything bad about them, and, you know, all of that. But you know, there is awareness, there should be awareness that it's an incredibly stressful career and role for them. And
a very short career, and one where it requires a real resilience that I'm not sure I had in my early 20s. I'm not sure I entirely have now in my mid 30s. I'd like to see. I'd like to see Diamond get more minutes now. Now that Barry's gone, there's a player in there.
100%.
I've seen people say he doesn't take people on. I'm like, I've watched him go past people,
dance round people.
Yeah. There's still the one that really sticks in my head was him and Maca away at Birmingham away, where the pair of them sort of went round about a third of Birmingham's team together. And at no point throughout the movement did I think either of them really knew what was going on, but they kept the ball and they ended up on the edge of the Birmingham box. I was just like, that was brilliant. Loved that. Loved every second of it.
Yeah.
His final ball has been a problem since pre-season. I think I might have even mentioned it on here. I know I mentioned before on here about him sort of needing a goal to get started. He got one, didn't really kick on. There's a player in there. I've seen people suggest, if you can't cross by X age, you're never going to be able to. I don't think that's the case. I can cross, and I'm a dreadful footballer.
And confidence plays a massive part in that as well. Knowing, the plays and that will come with minutes.
Yeah, it will. Mingy is a worry. He's had issues in the past. He ended up at Colchester, I believe, because of issues with injuries and mentality and things like that. So that's a bit of a worry.
Although I don't think I'm betraying any confidences, that it was like other people that work in recruitment said to me that like they'd looked at him and his kind of his general attitude was something that had concerned them. But everything that I have heard from everyone at County couldn't be further from the description that. So whether he's grown up a little bit, whether he's just matured and pulled his socks up, but yeah, by all accounts, is an extremely kind of committed, dedicated young man. Very quickly, given that it's 9:00, Nick is not rejoining us. So we're in control, which is very exciting, and it's excellent timing as well, because for the first time today we can actually end the stream, because otherwise we would have been talking indefinitely until Nick came back, which I don't know whether I'm in the mood for. I could have done live commentary of Wycombe Huddersfield.
Is it still 1-0?
It's still 1-0. Huddersfield went up after 15 minutes, and they're so far reserving the lead. Wycombe have got a really big screen as well. Just throwing that out there.
Not as big as ours.
Oh, obviously not as big as ours. But
although I don't think ours is that much bigger than the previous. And I think it's our 6th scoreboard since 2019. Which is a bit mental.
It's very special. I think it's, saving on the floodlights or something as well. So, Crystal Palace on Sunday, though.
Yes, which I now might be going to.
Yes, that's exciting.
Provided that I haven't annoyed my ride between now and Sunday.
Oh no!
Yeah, because I was originally going to be working it, and now I'm not. So I'm like, I have a day off, and County are playing. But I didn't want to drive on my own, so I was just like, if I can find somebody who has a spare seat, I've done that drive by myself so much in the last 6-7 months. 2,500 miles in July, Hannah. 2,500 miles in 1 month, and I am not that experienced. Well, I am now. If I'd love us to score first. I remember the Watford game, but yeah, my initial thoughts are we're gonna lose, but we might have fun while we do it, and that is ultimately all that matters. So,
I'm going to City and Salford on Saturday night on lower league luck duty, and I'm kind of looking forward to that a bit more. Only because, like, the slog down and back, Sellers Park's not, that Newall special, apart from being
Yeah.
the home of Richmond Rovers, which it was not last time I went. So that's exciting. But yeah, I think
I've
We'll see.
never been to Selhurst Park, so it is a new ground for me. I have been past it on the train many a time, but I've never actually been.
Yeah.
City versus Salford is a game where I don't think there is any result that brings me joy.
I mean, I've got a soft spot for Salford, and that is largely because of the amount when we've been doing lower league look stuff, they have been by far and above the most kind of engaged, helpful club in terms of the access that they've given us. Like, you know, I say this often, I've never interviewed a county player, but I've interviewed nearly all of the Salford squad from the year before, and they've been very, very good. Plus, I love an underdog. So
yeah, if they changed the colour back to tangerine and got rid of that awful clip art badge, then I'd be fine with all the United nonsense. I'd be like, whatever. But they went into a club that had a proud history and just ran roughshod into it and turned it into the class of '92 club. And that really, really, really sticks in my craw. And for that reason, there is no outcome that would please me. If they beat City, we will never hear the end of it. Ever.
Yeah, I don't
Despite the fact that I
work.
would love the fact that City lost to a League Two club.
Yeah.
It's them.
Yeah, well, they're at the moment. So they in mid-November they were 19th in League Two. They're currently third. No, third. They were second at the weekend, but then Crewe won, so Crewe are second.
Well, great, another club I can't stand. Who's top? Just really finish me off, Anna.
Salford's ascension is kind of down to the teams that they've played. They've played like your Accringtons, your Morecambes, So
who's top? So if Crewe is second and Salford are third, who is this unholy trinity finished off by?
Oh, Walsall's top.
Oh, I don't mind Walsall. That's fine.
By like a lot, by
10
plus points. They're
absolutely
flying. But they're another one where they rely heavily on kind of half-season loans. So last season they had in Mo Fall for the second half. There's someone that they've got in this season who is doing very well for them that they're expecting to go back.
How are Doncaster doing? Sorry, I'm just asked. This is just turning into the League Two.
I know. Well, this is why
my own personal League Two.
Donny are doing all right. They're like playoffs. Not kind of kicking on. Barrow are not doing well at all.
Shocking.
Pete Wild. So yeah. Anyway,
he's gone in somewhere now, hasn't he?
Pete Wild's at Fleetwood.
That was it. Yeah.
So that was kind of last weekend's announcement. So what else have we got coming up? Reading. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at 12:30.
Initial allocation.
The initial allocation of 544.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say I can't wait for them to be unsold at this time tomorrow. The amount of ridiculousness by people that won't go.
I suspect we'll sell it out. I suspect we'll get at least another batch of tickets. The thing that is sort of making me go, huh? Is people are acting like Reading have limited the amount of tickets that we're getting. If this had never happened to us before, if we had never had a weirdly small initial allocation and then immediately sold out and then requested more and then immediately sold out and requested more, I'd think maybe it was Reading. But there's a common denominator here, and it's county. I think it's... and I don't know when this whole thing of if you want to sell the tickets yourself, you have to buy the whole lot became a thing. It never used to be a thing. But I imagine the club have sort of gone Reading away in January before people have been paid. We might not sell 1,000. It's Reading. Nobody really cares. It's not a glamorous tie. We've just had Crystal Palace away. I can see the logic in thinking, let's ask for the the first batch.
Yeah.
And then if that sells, okay, we got it wrong, we'll request the next batch. But the idea that people are slagging off Reading for not giving us enough seats. Oh, look at the size of the ground. They've only given us 5.
But the thing is as well,
they've given us as many as we asked for.
If they'd given us 1,000 or whatever,
yeah,
then, you know, from a stewarding point of view, from an atmosphere point of view, those 500 people, let's say, arguably, get dispersed amongst 1,000 seats, and suddenly you lose the atmosphere. You'll get, you know, a lump of people, but generally people will spread out. So there are advantages to it. The people I do feel for, in fairness, are the kind of the
exiles.
Yeah. So, and
you know, as an exile, I'm with you on that. Which is also why my season ticket code is available for any Reading-based Stockport County fan who may need a ticket.
Yeah, it's a week away. 10 days away, isn't it? So, by the time they go on general sale, it'll probably be tail end of this week, beginning of next week. They have to get posted out. I'll offer to, I'll say now, I'll go to Edgeley Park next week and pick up anyone's tickets. I'll wait to collect mine. So, so she says, assuming that I'll be one of the lucky 544 tomorrow. But yeah, I'll offer to do that. Get in touch. Also got a seat in the car on the, got all my wheels back on my car now.
Yay, so wheels on cars.
Yeah, that's an advantage. And then the last thing that we kind of need to cover, this is where I thought Nick was going at the beginning when we were doing all the sad stuff. Tom Mahane's gone.
Yes, friend of the podcast, Tom Mahane has gone. Tom Mahane, who seemed to think I didn't like him, which is not true. I just am an adversarial person when I think something is wrong, which is ironic because I absolutely hate confrontation. No, I liked him. I thought he came across like he sort of gets football fans, and I think that's important for somebody to be in that role. I disagreed with the way that he was treating the pop side. I disagree with a lot of people's thoughts on how the pop side should be treated. People seem to have this thing of, if you want to sing, you should go in the Cheatland, and I vehemently disagree. I've sang in there for over 20 years. There are people who've been going in there for a lot longer than me. Mm-hmm. That is one of the singing sections of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It should stay that way because it is heard on the pitch. It is appreciated by players on the pitch. We are routinely acknowledged. One of my favourite moments this season is when Will Collar came over to celebrate in front of us after scoring, because he knew that he'd get a decent reaction from us. Yeah.
And the other thing
about, he was cool. I liked him. But
the moving Mansfield and Birmingham fans into the railway end, so they've effectively been given there is a rule that you have to offer covered seats, but the clubs can mutually agree that if they don't want to offer the seats, then they don't have to, which is why they've got the railway end. I love it in the pop side because I went to the loo 10 minutes into half time on Saturday. They were empty. I don't think I should actually be letting people know that there's 2 blocks in that end. But also
there is a downside to it. There is a downside to those 2 blocks. It now takes twice as long for me to get out the ground.
Yes, that's true.
Because I always hang back and there are 800 people doing that zombie walk out of
especially on Saturday when it was like a funeral march.
But it was bad after the Birmingham game. Really bad after the Birmingham game.
The other thing as well, though, I think, is the atmosphere is better in the pop side for not having the away fans immediately adjacent. So that's quite nice as well. But yeah, I think like Tom did so much good for the club. I know that he also came in for a lot of stick about things like the ticketing, which he inherited, and various other kind of commercial things. But in the era of the club that we're in now, sometimes commercial takes priority, and he one part of his job will have been measured and his success measured on the kind of the commercial outputs. So yeah, I'm absolutely confident that wherever he goes, he'll be very successful. And I think Gavin Bailey's already started. He's been kind of in and around the club since before Christmas. So it'd be interesting to see. And you know, that's the other thing as well. You know, when we welcome new starters at the company that I work for, I'm always really excited because they have new ideas, new things that they want to try. You know, they'll have things that they've, you know, seen in other roles that they've had or in other companies that they've seen. So I think there'll be lots of new and exciting things to come as well. But I'll really miss Tom. Sad. Had a bit of a cry on Saturday. He came and said goodbye, and I was like, oh. But
can you tell him I don't dislike him?
I did tell him that.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we knew before Christmas, I think. And so some sad news to end on. But if you're still listening, Tom, then good luck with your next endeavour, and please let us know what you get up to on your adventures, because I'm sure you'll be super successful. Right then, so happy safe travelling to everyone going at the weekend. At least Sunday the weather forecast is better than Saturday. Like towards the tail end of this week it's going to get really cold, but Sunday isn't so bad apart from a bit of mist.
I had a bit of a shock when I looked out the window for the first time today about 2:30 in the afternoon and saw it snowed again.
Well, as I came down, so I'm at the bottom of the garden and I've got Crocs on. Not the best. Not the best, because it was actually quite deep and it was snowing quite heavily when I came down. I don't know whether it's what it's doing.
Is it snowing again now?
When I came down, what was that, an hour and 15 ago, it was snowing quite heavily.
What is this madness?
Yeah.
What is this, winter or something?
So safe travels to Crystal Palace on Sunday, and we'll be back on Monday, presumably at the regular time of 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
What have I got to say? Normally Nick does the like and subscribe, guys, and then say goodbye, Will.
Then tells a joke and then goes, say goodbye, Will, and I go, goodbye, everybody. Say goodbye, Hannah.
Goodbye.